It's Friday, so it's time for another edition of the Retro Buzz. My name is Stephen Haywood, and we've got a special guest here for you. And Glen is over here. He's sitting in his cave. He's waiting, anxious. He's like a little girl. Look at him.
Oh, that was a maniacal laugh.
And we also have Douglas CoolToy Smith here with us, and he is not fangirling yet. But the reason
Yet,
yeah. The reason that they're fangirling, we've got with us Jerry Buckner of BucknerGarcia.com and Pac-Man Fever, right?
Yes, that would be me. Yes.
So,
hello,
hey,
everybody.
Great to have you.
It's great to be on the program. It took us a little while, but we're here.
We look at Glen.
Oh, you got a little Pac-Man there.
Yeah, he's like, wear your Pac-Man stuff, and I'll be honest.
I might just have a couple of things, Pac-Man.
You know, there was a lady in New York area that she's put out 2 books on Pac-Man stuff. I don't know if you know who she is. I can't think of her name right off the bat, but she has got everything. She had stuff I never even knew about. She had recordings of our song I didn't know about. And she's a terrific gal, but she's got 2 books on it. And I mean, talk about, everything you can think of with Pac-Man. It's crazy.
So how did you get started with this? Is it just because Pac-Man was a great game that you loved growing up, or what got you going with this?
A phenomenon.
Well, as you know, being as old as I am, we were around when it started. Gary and I were doing commercials. We're here in Atlanta. And we were doing jingles and commercials and so forth, and still writing songs. We were pop songwriters, and we would do jingles to try to make a living. And then if we had studio time left, we would try to record songs and so forth. Anyway, we were working on a particular jingle, and we went to a place called Marietta, Georgia, Marietta Square, and we would ran over there to grab a bite to eat in between the sessions. And we go in there, and we walked into this restaurant that was there on the square. And we go in, and there's a Pac-Man machine. Nobody ever seen one before. We didn't know what it was, but people are playing it. So we started playing it like everyone else and got hooked so bad we were sitting there playing instead of going back and working. We was going every night and bringing in quarters, and just like everybody else, going crazy. And so because we were in that particular business doing jingles and all that and advertising, we thought, well, maybe if we do something about this game, is so hot, maybe we'll get a little bit of recognition. Well, we did. We got some recognition. It worked out pretty good. That's how it came about.
Glen has been like all over me this week. He's like, you got to listen to this album. You got to listen to this album. And he's got vinyl.
My original. Yeah, man. This is my original. I was just, before the show started, it's my original one I got. The second this was released at Caldor's back in the day. And this thing has been played so many times. In my typical fashion, it's in a baggie. Everything I have is in a baggie. But I can't tell you how many times I've listened to this album. It's a great album. The songs are very catchy. Just like Pac-Man, it's very catchy. But you're really telling me that it was kind of just not a fluke, but you guys just started playing Pac-Man. It just kind of came organically. It wasn't like you guys sat down and started writing a bunch of songs type of stuff.
Well, no, it was actually, I think my idea. What happened is I came home. And Gary and I wrote together, and I was always the guy that kind of come up with the hook and the chorus first, and kind of sometimes this idea for the song, sometimes not. But then I would play for Gary, and if he liked it, then he would kind of do most of the lyrics. And so that I went home after we were playing the game, and just after doing this for a few days, I was home one day, and I thought, I started messing around on the piano and just come up with the idea for Pac-Man Fever. And I wrote a few verses out just to fill in the verse lines. And the truth is, when we went over to try to get Bowie Geller Organization, which was they were a management company here that had several big acts here in Atlanta, and we had gone to them with other small projects. So we went to them with this project, and they immediately went for it. Well, they said, we'll set up and set up a studio to do it. Well, Gary and I came back, and we started working on the song to get everything just the way we wanted it. And the original lyrics that I had written, and that, he and I had kind of written, I guess you could say together, we decided we didn't like them. We liked the chorus, but we didn't like the lyrics. So we threw them out and wrote all new lyrics. And I wish I had those. It would have been fun to have, but we didn't anticipate what was going to happen. So, they got chucked somewhere. But that's kind of how it went. It was, I had kind of had the idea, and then we just put it together like we did with all our songs. We were writing a lot of pop songs at that time, but this wasn't the first thing we did. And so when we approached,
when you did write it though, did you already have a studio lined up, or you started playing it, and then the guys hearing your normal commercial jingles kind of heard it, and it went from there?
Well, no, the commercial jingles had nothing to do with it. It was a guy named Arnie Geller, and Arnie was with Bowie Geller, and Bowie Geller was a management company here in Atlanta. They had the Atlanta Rhythm section. They had Alicia Bridges. They had other acts that they were managing and had made deals for. And so that's where we had gone, and they were the ones that liked the song. And once that took hold, the concept of it being just a commercial promo was out the window. Now we knew we actually had a record that could be released, and so that's what happened.
So what was the process like for the full album? Sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Doug. It's good. Go.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, what was the process for the full album? Because you just said you started off with Pac-Man Fever as kind of a one-off, and then boom, you've got this entire album dedicated now to arcade and video game music themes.
Yeah, it was kind of a natural process. When the single came out, which actually came out in 1981, it was a hit in '82, but it actually came out, I would say, probably in October of '91 sometime, and so started doing very well. I mean, not very well. It was exploding here in Atlanta. A radio station here played it in the morning, and the phones just exploded on it. And so the record had been sent to all the major record companies. They all turned it down. And then our management people that I just told you about, they put it out they pressed up some records and put it out and got a station to play it. And that's when it exploded. And so then all of a sudden, Columbia Records, CBS, we want this record. So we said, okay. So they bought the record, and but they couldn't put it out for a couple of weeks, and it eventually ran into Christmas, and Christmas was everything shuts down, and so we really had no idea what was going on with it until after the first of the year, and then after the first of the year, we found out that Florida had been, a lot of stations there had been playing it, and people who had come there for vacation went back to Cleveland and Chicago and everywhere else up north and started requesting this song that they had not heard of. And so that kind of got it going. And then when the TV started, I think Entertainment Tonight was the first network show to do a story about it. And that really, that was before the internet. And that TV was powerful, and it just exploded it. At that point, then CBS says, okay, we want an album, to go with the song. And we said, okay, great. And so we went in and we started cutting. We cut 2 songs that we thought, they were pop songs we had written. And the vice president from CBS came down just to check on things. And he goes, no, we want all game songs. And we said, that's going to kind of pigeonhole us somewhat. And but you can't, who can tell CBS Records what to do? So we converted those 2 songs, rewrote the lyrics, and made them game songs, and then did the rest of the album. And the funny thing with the album is we had to go out. We would go out at night, and they were rushing us to hurry and do this. So we'd go out at night and go to a arcade or somewhere and find a game, and we would talk to whoever could play it. Talk to the people and then go back and write the lyrics, stay up all night, and then go in the studio the next day and work on the track. And we were able to do the whole album in a couple of weeks. But that's how we put the album together, and that's how it came about.
Nice.
A couple of
Very
weeks.
Cool.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Quick
Think about other songwriters take forever. And again, the songs are all enjoyable. The one question I had was all the games songs in there are named after the game except for the Asteroids one, which is Hyperspace. How come you made it called Hyperspace versus just Berserk or Mousetrap?
That's a good question, and I really don't remember. I don't know why. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know why we did that. And the other thing I don't understand about us that I should know is we didn't do a song about Space Invaders. That was a big hit game. Right. Yeah. And I guess because the name wasn't easy to, to make a
Put
song
together
out
in
of.
lyrics and rhyme, yeah.
But as far as the asteroids are, the other song, I really don't know why. I wish I could answer that, but it's a long time ago. I don't remember, how that happened.
Interesting.
And I gotta imagine the licensing for this album was a severe undertaking in itself, because you've got all sorts of authentic video game music, and something like this is probably like not going to be a very easy task in today's marketplace. Do you think it was just the perfect time and perfect place to be able to sign all those contracts and get this done back then?
Well, it's a good question, Doug, and you're looking at it as a businessman, which which we weren't necessarily, but our management company had to do it. It took I think they said 24 or 26 contracts to get licensing and everything situated for all those songs. Pac-Man itself, when it came out, that song was just out there. I mean, we had no permission for a while to do it, and we were lucky. They could have shut that down in a heartbeat, and they didn't do it. I mean, it would have been stupid to do it because it was a commercial for their games, but nonetheless, they could have. So they made a deal with them first, and then of course when the album came, they made a deal with them. But yeah, it was a nightmare of contracts. I mean, we didn't have to do it, of course, but the attorneys and everything did it, and it was expensive and all that stuff. And that's probably why the album has never been re-released, the original one. I imagine because they didn't want to go through all that again if they thought they had to. Although we had the rights and still do have the rights for all this stuff, but I don't know. But yeah. Good point, Doug. It was a nightmare.
And I like what you just brought up there too. When you talk about the original album, which I have right here, you can't really get this anymore. I mean, you did a CD, but when you did the CD, you guys had redone the whole songs, right? There was different digital recordings of the games. This particular version was never, like I said, re-released. So was that
no?
That was because of that licensing?
I assume so. I don't know. They never, CBS never told us why they wouldn't do it. When the whole transferring to CD deal happened, back in the, I don't know, 90s or whenever that happened, where everything was being put on CD, and they just didn't do it, and we never knew why. So people kept asking and asking and asking, and the only thing we could do was re-record it. So we did, and we tried to use pretty much the original people and arrangements, and I think Gary did a great job of singing it. They weren't exactly the same, although the Pac-Man Fever recut is, I think, pretty good. I think it's pretty good. The only difference, a little bit of difference in the guitar solo, but the other stuff, and we've been, a lot of people, complain and go, it's not as good as the original. Well, I mean, we did the best we could, but, you can't please everybody, I guess. But I thought it'd come out, for a redo, pretty good,
So how many years did you tour with this? I mean, did you just ride a couple months, or what was the actual time frame that you rode this wave?
Well, it's, as I say, started in October of '81, and then really didn't hit big till I think probably March of '82 is when everything really skyrocketed. And you got to remember, we also had another song out. We had made a deal with a record company. We were pretty hot that year. We made a deal with MCA with Steve Carlisle. Steve Carlisle sang the theme to WKRP in Cincinnati, the TV show. And we had original songs that he did, and MCA, we made a deal with them to put out an album of our stuff. And also they wanted us to do a recut on the TV show theme, which we did. And so we had another chart. At one time, we had 2 chart songs together in the Billboard at one time, which was kind of neat. But as far as the time goes, once the song hit in the spring, it stayed on the charts a long time. I mean, most people, when you talk about a novelty song per se, they don't last long, maybe 3-4 weeks. But what we tried to do with every song on there, and I appreciate I appreciate what Glen was saying about the songs, because we tried to write each song as a separate pop song first, and not just, put sound effects in there. We tried to make it a good pop song, and then, put in the elements that had to go in there. And I think that's what helped with Pac-Man. I think because it was close, it really was a song, and then we introduced the elements that had to go into it. So it went on, I mean, really, it's never stopped, actually, to tell you the truth. I mean, there was a period after, and then probably after into the 90s and so forth, where, it wasn't much going on, but then it started picking up, as I say, probably because we did the album in 1999, the redo, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. And now it's just, I mean, the whole Pac-Man thing is just huge. I mean, there's so much stuff going on with it, and the 80s, all of that. It's wonderful. So it's just continued. But initially, it probably was about a year's worth of stuff going on, to answer your question.
Nice. I know Glen's keeping you in business even right now. I mean,
good.
That's what he's doing.
I wish we could again, a hat,
Yeah, this is actually the first hat got worn out. This is a reissue hat. So this is the CD version of my hat.
Okay. Let me take this opportunity to promote and sell something. Okay, commercial time, merchandise time. We've got some T-shirts out, and I don't have one because we just put them out, and I don't have one here to show you. But they're really cool.
Wait. Where are they at? I can pull them up on the browser here. Are they at the?
I sent you the link. If you check in your instant message, I sent you a link for the T-shirts.
Just now?
No, a few minutes ago.
Okay, I'll pull it up. Go ahead, Jerry. I'll pull it up while you're
okay.
Talking about
I think we have 4 or 5 or 6 of them up now. There's more going to come. They're just fun. They're nothing real fancy, but they're just kind of cool. And there are lyrics to the songs. There you go. Yeah, you see, we got Pac-Man Fever, doing the Donkey Kong can get you a hammer. That's cute. Froggy. We had a couple Pac-Man Fevers. Probably have more of those, because they're well known. But got a couple more songs to go. But I think they look pretty good, and it's a pretty good price, I think, for them.
Yeah, $20.
Now, when you wrote these, I mean, Pac-Man Fever obviously was the main title song coming out. I actually really like Do the Donkey Kong. I mean, that's one that I play constantly. Thinking back about what you made, obviously the Pac-Man's going to be your probably favorite. After that, what is the next song you both kind of liked second best, if you will, out of all the ones you guys wrote?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly which was. I can guess. I think Gary probably liked the asteroid song probably the best. I'm guessing. My favorite.
Hyperspace.
Yeah, hyperspace. My favorite would be Ode to a Centipede. And the reason I love the chord progressions in it, and I love the guitar solo in it, but it's just kind of a haunting thing, and it was always one of my favorites. Now, you mentioned Donkey Kong, and if I may, let me tell you a little story about that. As you know, that was a single, and it went up the charts some, but I mean, you can't follow. Pac-Man Fever was such a huge record. I mean, nothing behind that, it was just hard to do. But when we were deciding on a second single, we wanted the Frogger song. We thought the Frogger song would be a good one to put out as a single. CBS didn't agree with us, and they went back and forth, and so they eventually decided, they're going to put out what they want, it's their record company. So they did, but a lot of people liked Frogger too. But Donkey Kong, I thought it was a good record too. I mean, I really couldn't argue either way, I guess. And when we did a TV show in Philadelphia, a live TV show, they had this kid, all the kids they were doing the dance. They had worked on the Donkey Kong. I'm not even sure what that was, but they did it on this TV show, and it was kind of cool. But the Donkey Kong song, they brought them out with picture sleeves and everything on them. I mean, they really promoted them, and it went so far. But I mean, people were buying the album. They wanted the album. They wanted all the songs. They didn't just want Donkey Kong and Pac-Man.
And people want to know in the chat room. They said. Gunther says, where did you guys get all the Pac-Man patterns that they printed on the sleeves? I guess the jackets that you wore, or when you were...
Well, I got some stories about that. Well, first off, that came from a good friend of ours, a guy named Edgel Groves, and Edgel was pretty good at the game, actually. He was pretty good. And so he wrote these patterns up because he had played this thing all the time, and supposedly these patterns were, going to help everybody. So they put them on the sleeve, which was kind of a cool idea. And people love those. I mean, they really do. Even now, we have reprinted them because, there's not an album now. So we reprinted them where we can include them with pictures or with T-shirts or whatever. We can stick them in there if somebody, as a bonus. The funny thing is, yeah, there you go. and now they're on, like I said, they're on a smaller. They're on a smaller.
When he said sleeves, he wasn't talking about sleeves on your shirt. We were talking about the sleeve on the LP.
Oh, so yeah, the LP. Okay. Now the funny thing about this is, years later, when I met Billy, and Billy says, the king of Pac-Man, and Billy says, by the way, those said those patterns don't work. They're crummy. I said, "Oh my
Billy
gosh,
Mitchell?
okay." So
Yeah,
I have one around here that he signed, and it's kind of a keepsake. I enjoy that, and I also have an autograph from Erwin Torre. I never remember his name. The guy that invented the game, and I got to meet him in Chicago 3 years ago for the 80, or I guess it was 5 years ago for the 35 anniversary show. It was great meeting him. He really couldn't speak English much, but they introduced us through interpreters, and we got to talk some. And he leans over in my ear at one point, and he starts singing the song. I got Pac-Man. I thought that was so cool.
Be a surreal experience
that he would do that, and he actually we had a little bit of a mini concert thing they had us do there, and he came with. They had a film crew with him from Japan, and they came in, and he goes out and starts dancing. And somebody took a video, and I really wanted to have that, but I never could find it again. And I wanted to post that because I thought it was pretty cool to have the guy that invented it dancing to the song.
Okay, Internet, you've been challenged. The Internet's been challenged. We need to find a video of this for Jerry so we can see what the Pac-Man creator was dancing like.
Yeah, it's really cool. Somebody has one out there, or they did, unless they deleted it.
Well, if they find it, if you guys highlight one of us and let me know, I'll pull it up and we'll show it while Jerry's.
That would be incredible. If somebody, it was Billy Mitchell was there, and Walter Day was there. Both really close friends. I love those guys. They're just great guys. And but it was in Chicago at the main place up there, Nintendo, and they got that restaurant up there, 357, I think they call it, level 357.
Yes,
257. Yeah. What's the last level of Pac-Man? Is it 3 or 257?
256.
256. So theirs is 257, I guess. They're one level past and a beautiful place. They had downstairs. You ever been up there to it? It's really nice. They have games and stuff below. Then they had a restaurant up above, and so we were there, and it was a beautiful beautiful place, and we had a lot of fun. But that's where it was. So anybody that was in Chicago in 1985 at the 35th anniversary at the Nintendo at the restaurant there, I would love to see if you have that of our guy from the Pac-Man creator. I can never.
If we can't find
I tried my best to pronounce his name.
If we can't find, it's not a problem. I will put a mask of him on my face. I'll do the dance. I'll record it, and we'll put it out there. I
can ask for anything more?
Man, I do
it. Oh, that's where that's the Donkey Kong right there. That's where they did the Donkey Kong.
Yeah, this is one that I happened to find this on YouTube. I don't know if they're just pulling clips from.
That Jace Hall did that.
What you're doing.
I thought the kid was cool, really good on it. I love the kid.
Did that say P? Did I say P Dubs there a second ago? Did that say P Dubs?
No, that didn't say.
Look like it did.
Yeah, somebody else's street name.
Yeah.
So now
we
this
had nothing to do with that.
A big album.
Jace Hall did that.
This was a big album for you guys, right? It was a big hit. Now, did you guys work on a sequel to it, or you guys did not? There was never any follow-up with different songs, different games, anything else? Or was Pac-Man Fever always just going to be the one inclusive that it was? I know it's a long time now.
Our attitude, we wanted to continue on doing more stuff, and we couldn't get CBS to put anything else out. They made a buttload of money, and they wanted to keep it, so they wouldn't put any of the new stuff out. We did a song. We tried a couple more. We did a Mr. T song. It was killer, but they couldn't get permission to do it, and they were afraid that he would come down with a bunch of goons and kill all of us. So they didn't put it out. But we did that, and we did we did, I think, one other thing. So we wanted to get out of the contract because we wanted to proceed on, and we had a couple groups we wanted to produce, and which we did. So we finally got out, but CBS would not let us out of the contract for over a year because they didn't want us to walk across the street and and make a deal and have a hit. And so they hung on to us for another year or so. So we were with them a couple of years, and we didn't get to do anything. So after that time, it was a little bit different. So we were going to make a deal with RCA, and it didn't happen. And so after that, I tell you what really hurt us was when we did the song, the ET song, and that didn't happen. That just took that hurt and took the wind out of the sails, and really is what I think kind of messed us up. We got so upset with the business. We wanted to get away for a while, and we had enough money we didn't have to work for a while, so we kind of did after that because that one really was hard to take.
Well, also, if if CBS held on to you for like a year and a half after the 81, 82 release, the American video game crash, like you said, it happened. So the whole landscape of all that kind of changed. People were not into the arcades or the game consoles anymore. So I could see why there'd be at that point not a reason to continue at that stage, because the entire country kind of flipped on its head when that happened.
Yeah, and remember, we were songwriters, and we were happy and proud of the success of what we did, but we wanted to continue on and do regular songs just like everybody else, and so that was our thinking. We really didn't think about doing another game album because we just didn't look at it. We didn't look at it like our whole being was wrapped up in a game album. We were looking to the next thing we wanted to do, and we had other songs. And to give you an idea, how weird it was. We went to New York to meet with the CBS people, and on the trip up there in the plane, it was awful. It was terrible turbulence, and coming into New York, it was wind shears and everything. We were one of the last planes they let land, and they shut the airport down. So we get out of the plane, and we're lucky to be alive, and we get over to CBS, and we go upstairs, and we walk into the office there with Mickey Eisner, who was VP at the time, one of the VPs. They had 100 of them, I guess. And Mickey says, "Hey guys, how you doing? What are you doing in town?" It's like, what do you mean? What are we doing in town? We have a meeting set to for you to hear our songs. And then this show you how crazy the business was then, and I'm sure it still is. They listened to the song, and one of the guys listening says, "Wow, we really like." He says, "I really like that. If I had a record company, I'd put that out." And we go, "What? Excuse me? What do you mean you got the biggest record company in the world? What do you mean if I had? Well, I mean if I had my own record company." And so it's like it's a crazy business, just crazy.
So what was the actual, peak of this all with Pac-Man Fever? I know we were speaking off camera before we went live about your achievements on the wall. You want to kind of relegate to the audience what this Pac-Man Fever culminated to?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the what. Tell me the question again.
Just what was the peak of Pac-Man Fever for you as far as the success and the achievements that you guys received for this record and album? Well,
as I said, it was huge when it happened, and huge for about a year and a half, and then that part of it, like anytime you have a big hit record, then after a while, it's everything quiets down and so forth, and then we were, as I say, involved in trying to get out of contracts, and they held us down for a while. So then it was kind of like a roller coaster thing where it was huge, big, and then it kind of goes down, and then for a while it's like you're not much going on. We were trying stuff and doing stuff, but really not getting much done. And then, as I say, we kind of just took a little break from the whole music business because it was just really tough. It's a war. I mean, really like a war. And then it kind of it's been like that off and on. But then it started picking up, I would say, in the late '90s and then into the 21st century in the 2000s. And I mean now. I went to an ear doctor, for example, and it was a female, and she comes in and asking questions. I had a little problem, and then she finds out, who I was, what I did, and she freaks out. I mean, it's a doctor, you know. She freaks out and goes, "I got to have your autograph and everything." And so I'm writing autographs on prescription pads, and that's happened to me multiple times. I was at another place. I had a problem with my throat, and these 3 doctors come into the. I'm waiting in the thing, and they come in and they go, "Hey, we were just listening to your song on the internet," and they all wanted autographs. I mean, these are guys, doctors. I mean, but they were the right age. I mean, they were in their, probably early 40s, late 30s. And Goldberg, for example, the show The Goldbergs, the guy in there that wrote that show, they used our song on that show for a promo. Adam Goldberg, and he was a big fan. My granddaughter, who was in college, she came home one day. She says, "My professor found out who you are, that I'm your granddaughter, and he asked me if he could come to dinner to meet you and talk." So, and this has all been within the last, I would say 5 to 8 years, especially the last 5 years. It's just become, I think, because the song was such an iconic song, and in 2015, People Magazine recognized it as one of the top pop culture icons of the 20th century, which is really cool. And I think being associated with because Pac-Man's huge. He's still huge. I mean, it's like he's an established character. And so I don't know. It's strange, and I'm happy and glad that people still love the song and still enjoy, to meet me and so forth. And I like all that. But it's just to try to answer your question. It was cool for a while, down a little bit. And now I feel in some ways it's much bigger now than ever. At least for us, for me as an artist.
Well, that's good. That's because Glen's been really promoting it the last.
I owe Glen.
I'm just saying,
I got all kinds of merchandise for you, Glen. I'm going to have to send you stuff.
So here's the real question, Jerry.
And this is coming from a fellow person I have a gold album myself. Not too
many
people
look at
know that I do. Of course, this is for when I worked at a music company. This is for IT work, but doesn't matter. It's still a gold record, and it is mine. So you and I, we have something in common, Jerry. Just let you know that right now.
Do. That's cool. That's cool. I got a few on the wall here. I'd have to move the camera, but I got a few over there.
I was just going to ask Jerry the $1 million question: do you own a Pac-Man arcade machine yourself?
I don't. I did for a while. We both had them, but then I can't really say what happened because it would. Let's just say we donated them to a cause, and and we no longer have them. But yeah, we had them for a while, and it was fun to have. I like pinball a lot, actually, myself. I was not that good at the games. I mean, people, they thought because we did the record that we were, really good at it. And Gary was okay with it. I don't have patience for that. I had fun playing it, but I get frustrated with it if I can't, manage it and command it. And I couldn't. And so, people, if we went to an arcade for a promotion or something, and, they'd always try to find some kid that was their champ to play us, Of course, he'd beat us, I mean, and it was always a little bit, intimidating. But
maybe since you like pinball, maybe we can get a new song doing the arcade one-up, pinball. Maybe we can get some new songs coming out for pinball. With a lot of these new companies coming out, maybe they can enlist your services for some music.
Yeah, well, I'm all ready, ready to do it. We actually had, we did a song called. We have a song that's out there. I've done so many songs I can't think of the name of it. It's we put it out like a couple of years ago. Anyway, it's talking about the game, classic games and everything. And we got another song that we were working on. It was really kind of a cool song, kind of a Hall & Oates kind of a one on one, that kind of a feel song. And we called it at the arcade. It's a story about a guy. The song's about a guy who had met a girl at this arcade, and then, they grew up and went away. And then he's just thinking about, this girl that he knew in the arcade. It's kind of a cool little song, but we never quite finished it or got it out there. And I don't know where you'd play it. I mean, it certainly wouldn't be a current song, but,
yeah, the chat room wants to know about your new book. Apparently, you have a new book.
I do, and I got all kinds of stuff here. Hold on. The company spent a lot of money on this stuff. Here we go. This is a big poster. There you
There
go.
we go.
Cover.
Yeah, that's cool. Let me hold up the book. Here's the book, the actual book, and it's really cool. And there it is. It's got all kinds of stuff in it, stories and stuff. And it's got the unique thing about it is it's got all these connections, especially if you buy the Kindle version. But they're in here too, links to songs and stuff, and all kinds of stuff, pictures and songs, and just a lot of cool stuff. And I think it's a pretty good deal for just $10.
So you get that on, I assume Amazon.
Amazon, yeah.
I'm
I was just
assuming,
gonna ask.
books.
What's that? Say
Is it
again?
on Amazon? They could order it where they can
Yes,
order it from.
Amazon. You can go to Amazon and get it. Absolutely. And I might as well promote everything I got. Here we go.
That's why. Hey, do it.
Hey, we got, and I make sure you guys get these if you want. We got these pop sockets, and they're really cool, and they're selling real well. People like them. Let me see if I can get this thing to open up here. And you probably don't use pop sockets, but anyway, here if you can pop sockets. And what it is, it's if you can see.
Oh, yeah, it goes on the back of your cell phone,
Very
so
nice.
you can hold.
I
your
got
phone.
PacMan Fever.
There you go.
You stick it on the back. You know how they work. Stick it on the back of the phone.
Yep.
And people really like them. And they would sell them for a great price, $5, including shipping, ladies and gentlemen. And you can get those.
There you go.
If you go there, let's see, they're on eBay, and there's a link you can go to at our site if you want to get one. But they're really cool. People like them. So that's all I have to sell at the moment.
Well, I mean, people are always
people like
asking.
me,
and
they might want
collecting.
some hair, hair follicles. I'll take anything that comes out.
We have pictures too. We have pictures. People like pictures. And,
Well, Jerry, here's the problem though. If you send Glenn a pop socket, you have to send him 5. And I'll tell you.
oh, I will. I'll make sure each of you guys get one.
No. He needs 5 because what he's going to
For
do
himself.
for himself he needs 5 because what he's going to do is bag up 4 of them. Actually, he'll bag up 3 of them. He'll use one and he'll display one. That's what Glenn does.
Okay.
That's
I keep people in business. I do that. That's true.
Well, Glenn, I'm gonna send you some inside stuff so you can have some things that other people. I'm gonna send you a couple things. We'll take care of that.
That'll be awesome. Thank you. I did want to ask you one other thing too, because obviously, your group was 2 people. Your partner, he passed away, a number of years ago now. You guys are friends during this whole, up until he did pass away, right? You guys had a really good history together with the music industry and everything, right?
Yeah, we were friends really since junior high school, and Gary and I were like brothers, and it was just a tragic thing to happen, and I miss him every day. And we really had a magic between us for writing songs and stuff. I just enjoyed it. But yeah, we played. We had separate bands in high school. We knew each other, but everybody had a band back then. It seemed like, and but eventually we teamed up right after high school. We teamed up and started working on writing songs, and then we had a little duo thing. Sometimes we would have a band. We'd play. Just that whole thing that everybody kind of goes through as musicians. And then eventually I moved down here to Atlanta. And he came not long after, moved down here, and then we started doing stuff here, and eventually got into all this that we are discussing now.
And it's good stuff. I don't mean to bring up any sad things, but
Oh no, it's okay. No, I'm glad you brought him up.
together.
I mean, I'm glad you brought him up. He's, when Disney wanted us to do the Wreck-It Ralph song, and called about it, I explained to him that Gary had just passed away, but. We were able to work something out to do the song. It came out okay. I just wish he would have been really happy to be a part of that. I wish he, had been around for that. But I miss him. He was very talented. He wrote that. I mean, I got a pocket full of quarters. I'm headed to the arcade. It's become. I mean, that's a standard line at least in the business of classic games and video. It's used all the time in articles, which is fine. We're happy. But I mean, that's a classic line that he wrote, and he did a great job on those lyrics, I think, really.
Well, Glenn, what we need to do is talk to him about the Pac-Man arcade 1-up if he's not familiar of it. What you can get those because people are asking, they want Jerry to sign these.
Sure.
The big 3/4.
Yeah.
So the 3/4.
There's all kinds of things. All kinds
I'll
of things.
sign-
You got the arcade
I'll
one-up
sign
Pac-Man.
anything.
You got Numbskull Pac-Man. You have classic Coleco Pac-Man.
I've seen
You
that
have
before.
Super Impulse Pac-Man. You have Basic
Oh,
Fun Pac-Man. I mean, like I say, Pac-Man is everywhere.
It's
And
40th anniversary this year.
Hey, look
absolutely.
at this. People give me stuff all the time. Somebody gave me this. If you can see it.
Yes, the arcade one up.
Yeah.
I have one of those on my
Yep.
wall.
I
Yeah,
don't-
they're cool.
Arcade one-up pack.
I don't even know what all this stuff is. People give it to me. This
Oh, arcade
Yep.
one up one.
Yeah,
too.
that's
You know what that is? Oh, I got it upside down. Okay.
There you go.
we
Yep.
couldn't. He was upside down. We couldn't tell. You had to turn him. Yeah, now we know who he is. We couldn't tell before at all.
I mean, I got stuff, all over the place. You would have a ball if you got in my office in here, but I got some stuff that is private, I guess. But
What was I guess so? What was your out of everything you've done? What would you just your favorite memory? Whether it was an individual coming up to you and saying, someone like me saying, my childhood was awesome because of you, thank you, or going out to a place to play. What was just both of yours? Like, it's your favorite. You think about it, and you're just like, man, it was worth it. What is that for you?
Well, I think on a personal level, my dad had a little TV shop up in Barberton, Ohio, right outside of Akron, where I was from. My dad was a very plain, simple man, and he wasn't big into material things. Had a hard worker, had a little TV shop, and when I made sure he got a gold record when we were, had gold records made. And I remember walking into, when I went to visit, walk in his little shop there, and he had put newspaper article up there in the record. And I just thought that was pretty neat. I felt, because he wasn't always behind me and playing rock and roll. My dad was a gospel singer in a quartet for a long time. He sang professionally for a while. So he wasn't into rock and roll much, but he was very proud of what we had done in the record. And when seeing that up there, I was proud. And my mom was proud. So that was really those two moments. But I enjoy talking. It's really rewarding when you have people come up and say, hey, we got a record and it meant so much to us. We met when we heard this record, or I can remember hearing that when I was in the arcade. And I really love hearing it. I mean, it's just such a compliment to think that Gary and I did something that was a positive thing that people enjoyed and they got a good memory of it. So anytime I meet folks, I just enjoy, hearing the stories, and people have a lot of stories associated with game rooms and the song and so forth. I mean, I remember Casey Kasem when he had his show on all the time, American Top 40, and about a year after the song had peaked, one day I was listening to the show, and one day he comes on and he does his long distance dedication, when he did those letters. And this girl had written a letter to him saying that she had met some guy, I don't know what his name was. She'd met him in an arcade back when back when the song had been a hit. And she said, I don't know where he is, but I still care about him. And wherever he is out there, I hope he hears. I want to dedicate Pac-Man Fever. So this was usually a long distance dedication would be, a love song.
A ballad or something.
It was just kind of funny that Pac-Man Fever became, but it had that much of an effect. So to answer your question, it's just amazing and wonderful. Always glad to hear from folks, and they all make me feel good, to hear them say that they like the record. I mean, that you do something that people would remember. I mean, that's pretty neat.
Right. Music is like, a smell or something like that. You hear it and it triggers certain things. And when I play this, it takes me right back to, I was like 13, I think, at the time, and in the arcade, and it's just a great song. I mean, for me, I can't thank you enough. My childhood, even to this day, I'm still a big kid, I guess. I mean, who am I kidding? But I really do enjoy the album. And I had played for people all the time, they've never heard it before, and they're like, oh, it's pretty catchy, and then they start getting into it too. So I just want to thank you guys, because you did touch a lot of people with it, and you sold a lot of copies. So a lot of people have to be in agreement with that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that. And let me tell you a quick story, because I'm going to have to run here. Let me tell you a quick story, though, that just happened that I think you'll appreciate, Glenn. I was just a week ago in a restaurant. We went to a new restaurant close by here where we live, and we're in there, and the manager's coming around talking to people at the table, and we get into conversation. And somehow it came up, what I did and who I was. Well, he says, and this guy was probably, late 30s, early 40s. He said, what song? And I told him, and he goes, gee, I don't know if I know that or not, which I don't usually hear. I mean, most people, they all know it. Well, I didn't care, but he leaves. And then about 2 minutes later, he comes back out and he goes, I got to apologize to you. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize who you were. And I said, oh, it's okay. He says, my son, now this kid's 11 years old. He said, my son, I went back and I said, have you ever heard of a song called PacMan Fever? He starts singing the song to his father. He goes, oh, yeah, PacMan. He's singing, he knows the lyrics. And he says, yeah, they were on American Bandstand. I mean, he's telling his dad all this stuff. And he said, I was so embarrassed. So the kid came out and wanted to meet me. And in fact, we're probably going to go there over the weekend. I'm going to take him up. But an 11-year-old kid, I mean, they still love the songs when they hear them, even though they're old songs and all that. They still like them anytime they hear them. It's just amazing. It just keeps going and going.
And before my co-host asks, yes, I've seen these all when they were live. I heard the song live. I watched an American Bandstand live. I'm from that generation. So my other guys, they're laughing already. They're laughing because, I saw this stuff. But you know what, Jerry? They missed out on a lot. There's a lot of stuff that you and me experienced that they never will. And this is one of them. This is one of the great things that, unfortunately, they can experience now, but they weren't there, like I said, when it was coming fresh and live. It was a true experience, and I thank you again for allowing me to have been able to partake for it when I was a kid.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on here. I really do. And even though your friends
goes a long way, doesn't it?
Steve and Doug.
Begging goes a long, long way.
we still love you guys, Doug, and we still love you guys. Toy Boy, right?
Toy Boy. I like that.
What is it? Oh, CoolToy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's his new nickname.
It's all good.
That's his
Toy
new
Boy.
nickname.
Hey, Toy Boy from an icon. I'll accept it absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. Hey, it's really a compliment because I'm sure all the girls are after you. Nice looking guy. I'm sure you got
there we go.
all the ladies that- I didn't mean that. I really didn't mean that as an insult. at all.
No, you're fine. Thank you, Jerry.
Oh no, we're gonna love that one. That's gonna stick.
No, don't do that to him. That's not fair. It's a compliment. He's like the girls would say, he's my toy. I'm trying to walk out of this. Anyway,
I don't know if his wife's gonna agree with that one, but he can send them my way. We're almost like twins.
There we go. Yeah, father and son duo.
Hey, I enjoyed. I know Glenn, you and I have talked, before and stuff, but I enjoy meeting all you guys, both of you guys, all through, the other two fellas. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and everybody listening. If you want to give me a Buckner Garcia, say hello, and a message or whatever, I'll be happy to. I like to read them and answer them. And it's just been a blast being on the show. Thank you so much for having me on here. I love you guys, and we had a lot of fun. And maybe Glenn will buy this from me.
There you go.
Honor.
Well, only if you have 5 of them.
Okay.
So
full box.
So everybody can check him out. Go to BucknerGarcia.com. Check out his books. I know Doug posted it. The boy toy posted it here in the chat here for you guys.
And so the T-shirts. Don't forget the T-shirts.
The T-shirts, yeah. And you guys can go check out the Pac-Man Fever here, the Kindle version or the paperback, and also the T-shirts here. I had them. There it is. Check out the cool T-shirts that Jerry's got.
And of course, we'll have the links down below when we post it on YouTube. All the links will be there.
But Jerry, we really appreciate you joining with us here, and guys,
very much a big honor.
Yes,
thank you
so much.
It's an honor for me to be on the show with you. Thank you so much. I'll come back again.
Yes,
bring me back again, and we'll go through this again and see if I can insult somebody else.
Also,
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine.
You're good.
We're gonna wrap up the recording.
We need a song. We need a boy toy song. So Jerry,
let's
have a little lyric for the boy toy song.
Maybe that's what we'll call the show. We'll call it Void. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm an idiot sometimes. Well, maybe all the time.
Not at all.
All right, guys.
Not at all. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it.
All right,
Take
all right,
care.
guys that are watching, we're gonna end the recording here, and we'll be back with some post show. So stay with us. We'll be right back.